I was working one day and got super lightheaded and kind of fell over, passed out, and the manager came over and he told me I need to go to the hospital now in a very stern way. And I was like, all right, I'll head that way. And it was there I found out here in Cedar Falls that they suspected leukemia. So I had no idea what the future looked like as far as the treatment regimen and all that. So I was kind of like, all right, let's get this going. I need to get back to a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do 6 or 7 rounds of chemo.
They frequently were doing bone marrow biopsies to see how is it going. And so after, like that 8 to 10 months, we did find out he was in remission. So
Yeah.
like that was huge news, even though he still felt horrible. We at least knew or thought that the cancer was gone.
Oh, I was like, I'm healthy now, and I'd always wanted to live in the mountains. I love to snowboard and snowmobile and everything, so we pretty much packed our bags up and moved out to Steamboat Springs.
Yeah, basically he was just in like celebration mode that he was better. So
did a lot
he
of
had a
snowboarding.
good year in Colorado.
A lot of snowboarding.
Pretty early on, right when we moved out there, we also found out we were pregnant with our oldest. So that was in itself a huge shock because they warned us going into all of this that it would likely like wipe out his fertility. So even though we hadn't, been even thinking about kids yet, they said you might want to think about your future and what that looks like on how you can have kids in the future. So to me was a sign like we need to move back home again.
So we got back to Iowa, and we're gonna meet my grandparents up in Rochester for a fishing trip for the weekend, do some fly fishing and camping, and have a super short appointment, so I thought. And then went up there and I remember sitting in the waiting room inside the doctor's office, and the doctor came in and she was crying, and all I thought was like, she could have took a minute, like before like, handled her personal items, I kind of like no rush. And then she stared right at me, and I was like, oh. So I knew
at that point I was like pretty pregnant, so she knew like, oh, this is not great timing.
I think I was so shocked I was pretty much numb because I was like, I feel
he was so healthy.
amazing. I was probably the healthiest I've ever been in my life.
All of the same crap again, but way worse. So
Way more brutal.
they knew what they did the first time wasn't good enough, so they had to be more aggressive about it the second time.
For me, it was definitely through all of the treatments and the things that, like, things kept working, like everything was going the right direction. I just had to keep putting one foot in front of the other, and it was just horrible. Every day you wake up and you're like, oh, I do spinal taps today with injected chemo, and you're just like, just go. But it was like things kept working and working, and you're just like praying, and they just keep working. But it was miserable, but things kept lining up, and so I think that was definitely when my path really started. I remember there's a picture of Jesus on the wall.
That's a good story.
I literally pray every day. I don't think I would have had any strength without him being present. So I got through all of my treatments, radiation, spinal taps, chemo, and I was cleared for my stem cell. And we were laying, I remember exactly the room we were laying in, and the doctor came in, and I was like, oh, what does she want? This is like either really good or extremely horrible. Like, she shouldn't be here right now. And I had 3 almost perfect matches for a stem cell. I was just like,
that was crazy.
thank you.
Like
Oh
the
my
gratitude.
gosh. Because some people don't get one. I mean,
know.
it's so. I think
that was a huge answered prayer, because
Yeah.
I think all we thought to pray for was like, just let there be one like decent match, so that we could have some chance. But there was 3. Like, that's insane.
I think that experience how horrible it was, there was as many good things that came out of it, especially like my whole perspective with faith and
Yeah, I just feel like
walking the
that
faith line. And
might not have even happened had that, like, I was trying, but there was a lot of resistance. And so sometimes you need that come to Jesus moment.
through that, and then continue when we got to Hoover and joining Prairie Lakes, it was like, Amanda's been involved with church, then I got involved with church, now our kids are serving at church.
It has literally changed the course of our kids' lives because of how important it is to us. And I don't know if it would have been as priority had we not gone through what we've gone through.